Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Malama Halima, we can hear you. Kawai ki turning off mic ɗinki. Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. Why don't we give your worship 1 minute? She's about to join us. Um, Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to everyone, and happy International Women's Day. To join everyone out there to commemorate International Women's Day 2025. My name is Amina Suleiman, and I am the program lead legal empowerment at Isa Wali Empowerment Initiative. At IWAY, IWAY is a non-governmental organization that was founded in 2009. Mission of the organization is to promote gender equity and champion the causes of women, children, and other vulnerable groups. So to carry out this mission, we usually target our activities through three thematic areas. The first being education, secondly, livelihood support, and then thirdly, through legal empowerment. Today, we will be the role of women, almost half the population in Nigeria. As a result, denying this population the opportunity to contribute to bridging access to justice will be. Hello, can everyone hear me?
Hello. Mike.
I'm just making the introduction before we delve into the conversation. So women constitute almost half the population of Nigeria. So denying such a significant group the ability to contribute to such a relevant area of social development will be us denying Nigeria as a whole justice, or denying it the ability to progress at the right pace it should. So today we have a lineup of experienced speakers who will be delving into the major areas to discuss under this particular topic. The first person we have here is Her Worship, retired Chief Magistrate Hajia Salma Ahmad Mbapa. She is currently the chairperson, International Federation of Women Lawyers, Kano branch. Welcome, Ma. Secondly, we have Dinatu Dama Maji, who is the executive director of Kasham Girls, Women, Youth Community Development Initiative. The Kasham is an organization that carries out several activities, amongst which is the empowerment of women. So we believe having her in this discussion will truly give us a perspective from the area of from the area of a CSO. We'll get the perspective of how women can be put at the forefront of advocating for gender justice, as well as participate in justice delivery. Finally, we have a community-based paralegal with us, Malama Halima Musa Bichi. She will be giving us real life experience of how her role as a community-based paralegal has not only enhanced and should I say empower her, but has also empowered other women and children around her. So welcome, and we hope today we'll have a very, very, very exciting and truly enlightening conversation. To our listeners, I would like you to drop your comments, inputs, questions. Just make sure you have them written at the comment section. We'll have an entire session where we will address every question before the session ends, inshallah. So I would like to move on to hand over the mic to the first speaker. That is Her Worship, Hajia Salma Ahmad Mbapa, who will be discussing the challenges of access to justice as a whole. Your Worship, I'm handing over the mic to you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Good morning, all. Basically, when it comes to access to justice, we need to understand the concept of access to justice first. Access to justice includes where to lodge our complaints, why do we lodge the complaints, and what is the way forward about our complaints. If we do not have these three criteria or requirements, then the access cannot be the need arise or when the need arise. Justice is all about fairness, equity, and discharging duties at a speed, diligently, effectively, and efficiently, without any line of personal interest or sentiment, apart from what the law provides, the morality of the people, the positive social norms within the area or surrounding circumstances of the matter, and if any other reference point that is being established and it is validated by customs, traditions, or principles of law as per the provisions of the principles of natural justice, equity, and good conscience. And that is what we can take as access to justice. To our people at the community, that is either the vulnerable groups, the marginalized groups, or the disadvantaged groups, including people living with disabilities. Sometimes it is very much difficult for them to access justice from where they are. And that is why there are so many avenues that any person that deems it fit to lodge any complaint, that in his own thinking or opinion or based on advice from others, that such action should be dealt with accordingly. Where there are such complaints, the first thing to think of is how do we lodge this complaint, and how do we get to know whether we can be relieved of the complaints we make or not, and to what extent can we secure such a relief, if any. And with this, we can now start to picture in our mind and have a clear mindset that yes, there are processes and procedures that will take us to have a logical complaint and a logical analysis and a logical decision of that initial complaint as lost. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. That was a truly insightful discussion. Your Worship, I do have a question. I would like to know, as in for a woman. Your Worship, are you with me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, for a
Yes.
woman in Kano, an average woman in Kano, what challenge do you think she will face if she has a complaint and she wishes to, move on and make the complaints to the right channel, through the right channel? Let's take, for instance, a criminal complaint. What are the challenges she might face in the process of accessing the remedies that are available for her.
Thank you for the question. Actually, um, it is not even only women, children inclusive, because sometimes women do lodge complaints in respect of their children. So all the time, women and children are made into one category because the voices of the children are usually being heard through their mothers, aunties, sisters, and any other close relative that is interested and concerned in their matter. So whenever a woman do have a complaint to lodge, it is for her first to think logically. Is that her complaint enough to generate the level of drawing other people's attention to that concern so that she can be relieved of that? And what sort of relief does she want? Is it an actionable relief that is going to the courtroom, that is making a complaint before his bar or police? Then from there she proceeds to the court upon direction? Or does she lodge a complaint at the Sharia court if it relates to family matters, particularly marital issues, where the jurisdiction is 100% embedded in the Sharia court jurisdiction? Or is it a marriage under matrimonial causes, which is a statutory marriage, which is embedded in the jurisdiction of the High Court or Federal High Court, depending on her location or where the marriage took place initially? So all in all, is about what type of complaint does she has, because sometimes the complaints requires only an advice from somebody that has an experience in that aspect, or somebody that is highly matured than the initial complainant, or somebody that has a similar roles or position in the society where she belongs to, that can assist her to navigate through and be relieved. It always depends on what is the nature of the complaint. That is one. Number two, if the nature of the complaint is about that falls within gender-based violence, particularly the violence aspect, then that means it is about a legal action. And that is where the role of FIDA, Nigerian Bar Association, to mention just two as the main umbrella. Then there are other private practitioners that she can seek legal advice. From then, they can push forward and take the matter up to the appropriate institution and then to be heard appropriately and be relieved accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Worship. That was such an insightful discussion. So to round up the discussions on the challenges, I believe Your Worship will also agree with me when I point out that patriarchal norms and socio-cultural barriers are usually also a challenge that women face, where they have complaints, but due to the sociocultural barriers we have here, they face a significant challenge in accessing the judicial remedies that ordinarily they should have access to easily. And also where we have women taking the forefront to assist others, like the case of community-based paralegal who will be speaking later on. We will get to see how the kind of challenges they face from the sociocultural perspective that limits the role they play in the society. Also, we have some laws that are discriminatory that may also limit how women are able to access these services. Finally, I believe limited awareness is also a very major challenge that women face. I mean, most women are not aware of the rights they have, And then, of course, when you don't know about the rights, how do you even act upon them? So yes, I believe these challenges will also are also some challenges that are out of the several challenges women face ordinarily on a daily basis with regards to access to justice. Thank you so much, Your Worship. Now I would like to move on to the next speaker, Dina Tuda Mamaji, the ED of Kasham Girls, Women, Youth Community Development Initiative. She will be taking us through the role of civil society in empowering women to access justice. Dina, so I'll be handing over the mic to you now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Amina. Good morning, everyone on the call. Good morning, Hajia. I actually call her mommy. I call her my mother. I don't call her by her name. Good morning, women, and happy International Women's Day to every woman on this call and every woman globally.
Thank
Amina,
you
if you
very
just go on with the question again, then I'll respond immediately. Thank you. The question again, Amina.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. I can. The question again.
We would like you to take us through the role of civil society in empowering women to access justice.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a bit cracky, so I didn't get the questions directly. Civil
Yeah.
society play an integral role in the community. First, in educating the community about their rights. There's a lot of privileges the community have. There are initiatives that can be community driven and sustained, but if the community are not aware about it, they will not actually push for those rights. They will not be able to speak for those rights. Now, civil society organizations are supposed to build the capacity of women in knowing their roles, in reporting issues around gender-based violence, building the capacity of women, educating them about the processes. Where do you take it first? Hajia mentioned some of the processes. Now, civil society organization needs to educate both leaders, traditional leaders, community leaders, and especially women leaders, and even stay-home women. They have first-hand information about cases of gender-based violence. But if they don't handle it well, if they don't escalate it through the right channels, you find out that they are being shut up. You find out that they are being crippled. They experience masculinity in trying to shut them up. Civil society also are responsible. It's their role to also engage the community in knowing the nitty-gritties, in able to be able to identify what is gender-based violence itself, and to understand its forms, because we find out that there are cases that need to be escalated, need to be taken to the law, but they will be discussing and they will be trying to negotiate with community leaders for negotiation. There are cases that there are no rooms for negotiation, especially in cases of SGBVs. It is just a thing of law. Even if the parties think or assume that they want to negotiate, it is the role of civil society organizations to allow the law to handle it. Civil society organizations are also responsible in building the capacity of the community to be able to do their awareness themselves, even if it's selected persons from the community, because community-driven initiatives are actually sustainable and they are easily understandable when key community actors, key community influencers, they might likely not be
people of class and substance, but they are influencers. When their capacity is built to champion issues, they tend to be those that will be responsible to follow up. There are cases that have lingered for 15 years. But if we have community driven persons that are a community driven initiative towards following up the actualizing of those cases, you find out that they go back to back and they are not tired, because the persons that are victimized are persons from their community. The persons victimized are part of their community, and the community is demanding for justice. Those are some of the things that civil society needs to do, and civil society needs to engage the community in building structures, accountability structures, reporting structures, building systems. They guide them through building those structures and also educate them towards sustaining those structures and help train them on chains of escalating such issues, so that the community has a shock absorbent system, or shock have a resilient system in reporting gender based. There are communities where their women have little or no complaints about community gender-based violence at community level. Why? Because those structures exist already. So the role of civil society organizations is actually, we can go on and on discussing it, because they are solely responsible in, they are more like the community watchguard as far as access to social amenity, accountability, and justice is part of it. So civil society has a lot to do, even though we know that as far as Kano community are concerned, they are trying, but they play a vital role in strengthening the capacity of the community to be able to escalate or in the pursuit for access to justice. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. That was so insightful. I think two things you spoke about really stood out for me. First, you pointed out that where it's GBV, gender-based violence, the moment there's violence it becomes criminal. So it's not an issue that you just settle at home. It has to go through the appropriate channels, and it's a criminal offense. So yes, definitely it has to be pursued. Secondly, you spoke about how CSOs must engage in community-driven initiatives because they are sustainable. Even after the CSO leaves or stops being a part of the activity itself, the community takes it up because from the initial planning phase, it was a community-driven initiative. Thank you so much. I would like to ask you a few questions, if you could, so that our listeners can get clarity on other issues. So, in your experience, what are the biggest obstacles that CSOs face in their efforts to empower women to access justice? What are the biggest obstacles they face?
Sorry, did you say what are the challenges they face?
Yes, challenges, obstacles, yes, they face CSOs in their efforts to empower women to access justice. Like you spoke about GBV and how, yes, you've handled several cases like that. So, what are the challenges you face as a CSO in empowering women to access justice, women who have been victimized through these activities? So, how do you empower them? What are those challenges you face when you try to empower them as a
Okay.
CSO?
Now some of the challenges civil society organization face when in the cause of empowering women to in the pursuit of access to justice. One is community resistance. Community resistance that are tied to our cultures, that are tied to our tradition. In some communities, the moment initiative comes for building the capacity of women, you pose threats, because women are actually, there's a culture of silence in women that is driven not because they want to, but it's driven because of it's driven because of cultural sensitivity, traditional norms that classifies the average woman as the, you see and you keep quiet because you're nothing but a woman, you are not relevant, you are under this, you are under that. So it's This challenge is you resistance. They allowing those initiatives to be implemented, allowing those initiatives to hold to happen, allowing those initiatives to even see the light of the day, because it's like you are coming to teach women some form of arrogance. You're coming to empower women to become what they were not. You're coming to fill them with knowledge. So it's you get some form of resistance. And another way, the resistance will come from the community gatekeepers, and it could come from the women. Now, as much as it is important to build the capacity of women to initiate, um, to gain voices, to have voices, to build their voices, to also escalate their voices where issues around access to justice is concerned, resistance from the part of the community, some of the things we've experienced, and resistance from the women. Now, many women have seen the consequences of other women, of some women being part of community-driven initiative for access to justice. Some of those women, a lot of them have lost their marriages. Lots of them have actually worked with names that they are not. Many of them has been stigmatized. Many of them are tagged as hooligans. Many of them are tagged as women that are not even passionate about their religion or their cultures. So some women that are not bold enough, that are not courageous enough, some women that are not passion driven enough, don't want to be tagged as such, because the burden of the challenge on them is, they feel, is too heavy, and they don't want to be the average woman that bears that. So another challenge is sustaining it, sustainability. That is why you find out that an initiative to build capacity of women in access to justice happened in the same community in 2021. It happened in 2019, and the same initiative is about to happen in 2025. Why? Because evaluations of the impact of those previous initiatives is actually showing that there is no significant impact. There's no significant progress measured per time. Why? Because women are afraid. They are afraid to be part of this initiative. Then another challenge again is stigmatization. Stigmatization. Stigmatization on the civil society organization that is driving the initiative, stigmatization on the NGO, the national NGO, the local NGO that is driving the initiative. Then some of the challenges again are practically access to funds. As much as it sounds like a joke, most of these initiatives, especially by civil society organization, as community-based, at community level, by community-based organization, are self-driven. You don't tell crime when it should happen. If it's happening now and you don't have funds, of course you have to escalate it. And if you look at the economic effect on pursuit, trying to convey people, because sometimes the people from the community will be looking up to you, because they'll feel, since you are coming to rescue me, you should be able to carry me with my baggages. And some of their baggages means paying for their transport to the right places. It means conveying all of them. Some will even be, some you will need to even buy medications for them along the way. Some you buy food for them. So there's just a whole lot. The list is countless to some of the challenges that community-based organizations, civil society organizations are facing in the course of the building capacity of community for pursuit of justice.
Thank you so much. That was so insightful, honestly. And I would like to know, at least, even if it's just one or two, can you tell us ways your CSO has been able to overcome some of these challenges once you face them?
Okay, some of the ways we followed to mitigate these challenges, we do intense advocacy. Those advocacy intimates the community gatekeepers. It intimates them about the initiative itself. Now, I mentioned that some of the kickouts of this project are actually at that level. So, because they will find it challenging, they will find it posing threats to their cultural ethics, because women are not supposed to speak out, women are not supposed to just keep quiet, women are not supposed to be able to escalate issues, women are not supposed to come out for this pursuit of justice. Now, you are coming to tell them that it is okay for their women to come out, it is okay for their women, at least a woman should be part of the community setting as far as security is concerned, so that she will be able to represent other women that could actually feel open to them. We mitigate them by intense advocacy to intimate them about the long-term effects of the social menace in their community, and we engage the right persons in form of looking for the list of the influencials to bring them up to date about our project and the impact the initiative is going to make in the community. Now, most times it is okay for a woman to shut up if the effect is not coming from my house as a man. It is okay for every woman to keep quiet if the person that is the victim is not my child. So when we try to intimate them about the realities about these things, even though some tend to kick out, you find out that a good number are trying to second because of the high and rising number, the rapid rising number of these happenings in our communities today. Then another way we follow is to intimate the right agencies at state level that will actually back us up for the intervention, because most times we get their backing to go to the community, and engaging them does a lot of help gaining access to implementations of our initiatives. Thank you, Amina.
Thank you so much, Dina too. That was we
Okay.
are truly grateful. That was very enlightening. And it's clear that for us to truly make to overcome these challenges, we need to advocate. That is the major thing. We have to keep on pressing hard so that the message can be heard for a longer period. So thank you. We'll be moving on to our third speaker for today. I'm sorry, can you give us a minute? I think she's having challenges with her network. She'll be coming on in a few minutes. I would like to ask your worship, are you still with us? I have a few questions I would like to ask you. Okay, I
Hello.
think we'll move on. Okay, your worship, are you with us?
Yes, I noticed two questions coming,
Yes, your worship.
and I noticed the other speaker is out for. I
Yes.
believe it is about prayers because it's due time,
Okay.
but I don't know. I'm not sure, but that is just
Okay, can we
the
address the questions before she comes in now to take her section?
yes, I have two things to add before answering the questions. Number one is, if at all we are now building towards to have a bridge that will take us to access justice and the reliefs sought to be gotten securely and accordingly, then we need to build around the civil societies, the community-based organizations, faith-based organizations on their roles and responsibilities, because it is not just about educating people on their rights. The rights are many and they are being divided into many categories. And even actions, there are actions that are divided into different categories. You will have justifiable actions and non-justifiable actions. So we need to be more elaborate in educating the community to understand which right are we taking further and which right are we using to safeguard ourselves from further incidents or any other act that will negate their development, growth and development, and they cannot sustain it. More so, a reorientation package in terms of training and strengthening capacity is just the best option it and control that I have mentioned, that is the CSOs, CBOs, and FBOs, if we do have the capacity to do that. And I'm very much sure in Kano, we have more than enough resources to do that, particularly now that the state government is embarking on profiling the CSOs within the state. And for these two questions, one is about appreciation. We really appreciate that too. And number two is about financial status, where there is an allegation and the person that is being not accused, sorry, the person that is being molested or the person that is being affected as a victim do not have the financial capacity to take further actions. Sometimes that is the greatest challenge we do face in the society or in the remote community areas. Culture of silence is different from, I know that I can pursue my right, but I don't want to go further. It's too different. And to just comment that justice denied is justice delayed too is a different issue altogether. Because sometimes cases are being abandoned in the court for so long that the only option is to strike out the matter, because parties are no longer interested and they don't want to come back again, possibly because they do not have competent witnesses, and sometimes the allegation is mixed up with other issues. Sometimes it is over expectation, and sometimes it is somebody that is instigating them to go up. And after they generated public interest about it, then they just vanish. So we have to be taking each challenge and analyze it to the best we can so that we know how to support such a person. But if there is any vulnerable person that is a victim, or a person that is being molested or harmed in any way, form, shape, or manner, our office is always open for legal counseling, because we do have a legal clinic, and it is through the legal clinic that we know what we can offer to such a person. And we do our cases pro bono, that is free. So if there is need for that, we need to educate the society generally on a referral pathway so that whoever has a complaint can follow the due process and the complaint can reach the appropriate avenue, inshallah. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Worship. I think our third speaker is back. Oh, I think she went off again. So, Your Worship, can we take some of the questions we have from the comment section? We have a question from Madam Sani Kasumudil. Let's start with that.
Yes, we can take the questions.
Okay, his question is, afternoon, Your Worship. Certainly, among the challenges we experienced was not knowing where and who to report when an issue of such occurred. My question is, most of the victims, especially on violence and young persons, will find that they where they are not able to handle the case financially. Yes, his question is some victims, especially young persons, don't have the financial capacity to handle the cases. So what support do they get in such an instance? That's his question.
There are several support, but what we need to do now is to lay a foundation, that is by making reference to the provisions of the Child Protection Law 2023. There is a Child Protection Committee which is provided in that law, and it is being made to be established in each local government, and at that local government there should be a local child protection committee, and that is where cases need to be heard, analyzed, and they taken up. And the community do have a composition. It is there in the provision of the law. Possibly is for the civil society that we have to work together as a team to disseminate the contents as per that issue is concerned to the general public, for them to know how to lodge the complaint, where to lodge the complaint, and what to expect, so that we will know from there what support they need. Sometimes we leverage on financial support, but it is not all the cases that requires financial support. We know that Nigerian police force do have offices throughout the Nigerian local governments. And if our paralegals too can be strengthened and expanded their work to other remote areas, I believe that would be a great success for them to support the vulnerable, the marginalized, and disadvantaged victims coming from that communities, and even the children or women that requires special assistance, that is people living with disability, because that are the main target when it comes to violence, even though violence is a very, very big issue and connotes many aspects in that regard. It is only when we start to educate ourselves on the definition in a wider, broader spectrum that we'll understand that violence is something that needs both hands on deck. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Worship. I'm sure she did justice to that question. Now, since our third speaker is back on, so we'll move on before coming back to answer the other questions that we have in our comment section. Malama Halima, welcome back. Malama Halima is a community-based paralegal from Bichi local government of Kano State. She has over 8 years experience providing paralegal services in her community. And today we would like her to shed light on real life experiences on how her role as a community-based paralegal has not only impacted on her as a person, but also other women around her. Malama Halima, barka da zuwa. So yanzu zan yi handing over mic ɗin to you. I think she's off again. Probably facing network challenges. So let's Your Worship, I hope you're not you've not left us yet. Let's continue taking those questions.
I'm on.
She's facing a major challenge. Let's just round up, take our questions and round up.
Okay, let's proceed to the questions.
Okay.
Read through, please.
All right, now. Okay, Your Worship, you spoke about paralegals and the work they do in the community. I want to know from your experience as a retired chief magistrate. What roles do you think community-based paralegals truly make a difference in the work they do, in the role they play in the community, especially with regards to women, particularly accessing justice?
Absolutely, absolutely. They do an excellent job within the community. You know, sometimes when you have a concern, who you need to see first and discuss your concern with is a woman of a status, not financial status, but a status that you do have confidence in, because you need to discuss that your matter in confidence. And when it comes to violence, confidence is the key word, because nobody understands your pain better than the person that shares common values and do respect you highly. So paralegals do their jobs in terms of supporting the survivors by taking them through out the discussions about their concern, identifying the key areas to support them, and extend that support to lodge the complaint at the appropriate place. If I can still remember, because I happens to be a resource person sometimes ago, training the paralegals here in Kano. So if that is their main primary work, if I can still recall, then at least paralegals needs to be more strengthened and their horizon needs to be expanded, because they are helping the survivors directly. And if at all we can get the necessary support, we can continue in that aspect, because the paralegals do clearly understand what rights connotes.
Your Worship, thank you very much. I don't know if Dinatu is still here with us. I have a question directed to her. Or perhaps she's also facing the same challenge Malama Halima was facing. So, Your Worship, do you have like a final message you'd like to convey to our listeners on how they individually in their various communities can truly contribute to empowering women, especially with regards to access to justice? What can they do? Does the little impact they make really matter, or do they need to do big things before they can encourage women, they can empower women to access justice?
Please. Amina,
Your Worship.
repeat the question again.
Okay, as a final message, Your Worship, I would like you to convey a message to our listeners on how they can contribute individually as persons in different communities, different parts of Nigeria. How can they contribute to empowering women to access justice? Do they need to do those big things, or the little impact they make, does it even matter in empowering women as men, as not just the women themselves, even the men? How do they contribute to empowering women? What can they do as an individual person?
With the progress we are having in Kano in the judicial sector, because we now have at least 6 high courts designated for GBV cases. And that means we are moving forward at a speed. The expansion of the number of paralegals from other CSOs and CBOs is key to having them as much number as we can have in the communities. And gender-based violence is not limited to women's concern or children concern too. It includes men concern. In fact, when it comes to child issue, it is about both boys and girls. And it is a family concern. In fact, it is a concern for all. A child concern is a concern for all. So the need for the paralegals to have more education, more information about supporting the concerned family first, should be the baseline, and the little things they do should be appreciated and enhanced in such a way that they can come out and do it more visibly, loudly, and accordingly, because we need to have more in the communities. The need to have paralegals cannot be underestimated. Going to Hisba, going to the police station is something else. But a paralegal is just a phone call sometimes, and sometimes they are your close neighbors, sometimes from the family within the community. So it's easier to have access to paralegals than to go to Hisba or to go to police station. But I'm not saying that people should not lodge their complaints at Hisba or police station, but altogether, having paralegals can save much negative energy and save the high expectation of the general society about what took place, how it happened, and who to blame. Because in this season or year of access to justice, accelerate action is not about apportionment of blame. It is about how do we enhance our work at a speed to attain justice accordingly. Thank you, if that answers your question.
Yes, it does perfectly. So thank you very much, Your Worship. So, Malama Halima, you've joined us again. Muna so ki ɗan bamu bayani ne briefly akan yadda aikin ki a tsar agajin shari'a yake taimakawa mutanen al'ummanku da kuma ke kanki as a paralegal. Malama Halima, your mic ɗinki a kashe yake. Malama Halima ba ma jinki? Mic ɗinki a kashe yake. Well, I believe we are facing several challenges today, but let me quickly run us through the work Highway Paralegals do. So, as community-based paralegals, they serve as the first point of contact for the members of the community, since they live in the community. They are their neighbors, their friends, their family. They provide support services, support victims to make complaints to the necessary body. They also provide legal clinic services, in the sense that they interview clients and get a brief on the cases to know the appropriate authority to make the reports or claims, the report on the case too. So, due to our network challenges, Malama Halima will not be able to delve into the discussion proper. But I hope from all the discussions we've had with the previous speaker, we are leaving here better than when we joined. And to round up the conversation, I would like to thank everyone, our guest speakers most especially, for honoring our invitation on such an important day, and to our listeners for listening, commenting, commenting and giving input on how our services can be delivered better. Thank you, and happy International Women's Day to everyone out there. Thank you.
Thank you too. Happy International Women's Day.
Thank you, Your Worship.
So-